The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Cali Sports Fan, WDC is now on your radio. Coming live from the Bay, yeah, that way. K-Talk Sports all day, LA. Dropping knowledge, high school, college, final scores, play-by-play. NFL, NBA, NHL, that's right, you name it. They gon' bring it to you live. Talking sports and entertainment. From the famous and the you name it. Cover all sports from the foot.
He'll call you at 10 o'clock in the morning and be like, so what time you gonna meet?
This guy.
Like, oh, we gonna meet at Dad's at 3 o'clock. Okay.
All right. So somebody...
You don't even hear nothing from him until like 2 o'clock to say he on his way, and then it'd be 4:15 by the time he got there. Why did he call us at 10 o'clock? Okay, anyway.
Today somebody is in their feelings. That's what they call that, ladies. In your feelings today. Okay? It is Monday. Motivation Monday. You're watching Sports Collective
Black
TV.
folks gonna miss their blessing because they ain't on time.
That's all right.
You gotta be ready for when he comes.
That's all right. I mean? We are the gods of the earth, honey. We come when we ready. Well, that's on time.
We do so much stuff, man. Where we at today?
All right, guys. So since we need some Jesus in our life, I need you guys to go out to the West Angeles Performing Arts Theater and get your tickets. Hope Arise is coming to West Angeles Performing Arts Theater November 16th. Get your tickets. Get you some Jesus. Because,
Rosemary and Lamont.
Yeah, we got, Lamont A. Coleman from Tyler Perry's The Haves and Have-Nots. We have Rosemary Smith Coleman. We got Lil Pee Wee. He was so cute last time when we was the little guy. We got this little guy.
Did a good job. Was it autism he had or something?
You know what? Okay, we're not going to do this today. No, we had a lot of interesting conversation. We talked about Jesus and we talked about the lack of Jesus in people's lives, i.e. you, right?
Yeah, but the whole thing is that, from AskIlya.com, you can go to our website and basically purchase some tickets. I mean, we are dealing with some kind of social ill in our society today. Yeah. And us as black folks and people of color, things are kind of tucked under the rug and not really dealt with properly. So this is an opportunity for you to just go out and address whatever your issues may be or whatever your family may be or whatever your community may have. Then see how you can make a difference.
Or just get some information about something that happened to somebody else. You might not know that something is going on that may be going on with you is going on with somebody else and maybe even worse.
Because that's what we do in social media.
Absolutely.
We use you folks as influencers to be able to get this message out. And the message is positive. And it's how many? I think it's close to what? I mean, some of the films.
19, 20.
Was it BMV?
Oh my goodness! You know what? They got enough.
Anyway, this is why
go to changefest.site. You can find out more information about this event. It's going to be going on November 3rd in the city of Inglewood at the Miracle Inglewood. You can even go on the Miracle Inglewood, get your tickets. But if you want more information, you want to click on a banner and see where am I going? You want to go to AskIlya.com so you can check out all the information about the event. You can click on all the links and see what you're getting yourself into. So that's AskIlya.com. And who am I? Who am I? Right. If you want to go follow Miss Millie right here, you can follow Millie Music Official on Instagram.
I'm a gentleman. My mama raised me right. Woman can't be introducing herself. You know what I'm saying? This is a sports show. So you see my voice got deep like something your father would do in the home. Be like, girl, hey, what you got on? What you trying to go where? With who? So hold on.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
This is Ask Ilya, known as Cali Sportsman and Sports Collective Media. Shouts out to my boy Farron, who's not here. My people's in the back, Dez, helping produce the show, as well as Fredo. But we have someone extremely special. So if you look at my website, you're looking at her, the phenomenal Milan, singer, mixologist, bartending, pop-up bartend. She worked with the best in the business, Stevie Wonder himself. Still working over there at KJLH, doing some things, and just continue blessing us to come over here and just have her presence. So going to do your Millie, whatever you was about to do.
Okay. I'm gonna be nice to you today. That was nice. You guys can follow me at Millie Music Official, and music is MUZIC, Millie Music Official. So
I mean, you said you know a little bit about sports. I'm going to hold you off on that. But we also got to talk, since we doing all these plugs, and, you know, it's all about doing positive things in the community. And this is a tough one for me. I've actually really haven't gotten any sleep since AEG reached out to us over at the Regal Cinema and asked us to do a private viewing for Harriet Tubman, and just getting us folks out to be able to really talk about the things that this movie represents. And there's a lot of pieces. There's entrepreneurship. There's, you know, of course, there's slavery, but there's so many other pieces to this movie that really young folks, and me and Portis, who runs Morris Media Studios here, even was talking about getting our youth to kind of understand that history. So to tell, you know, you putting all that marketing together on this event, so you can take it from there. But Harriet Tubman on the 19th, Freedom Talk.
The Freedom Talk, 2019.
So if you're a panelist and you think you want to get on our panel, you got a product or brand you want to network with, we're going to have all this area available, but we're going to have some popcorn and some soda, you know, for you to actually have a good time, but also really talk about what this movie represents in our time today.
Absolutely. We're definitely, we have reached out to some amazing organizations, AKA organization. We've reached out to several sororities, the Alphas. We reached out to, I've reached out to AAA to sponsor some things. So there's a lot of discussion where we're talking about freedom, and not just in the sense of slavery, freedom in the sense of as a person, in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. So that's really important to me, because these discussions haven't been always we haven't always been able to have these conversations. So to be able to have the conversation, be a part of something that could possibly change somebody's life or mind for the better is just an amazing thing to me.
What caught my eye about it originally is that, you know, when you're working with the Hollywood Bowl and you're working with these different organizations here in LA, and they're trying to capture a Black audience to come out and see pretty much our own folks, you know what I'm saying? And it's amazing that there's this disconnect, you know, and so as a business to have the ability to try to figure out how we can connect the dots is amazing, because even, you know, reaching out to foster care, homeless shelters, people that want to just get out and come see this film, you know, and just have that experience, or just going to a nice movie theater, you know. So shouts out to, you know, Regal Cinema,
right?
You know, and we're looking for sponsors. People want to kind of get their name out there, and as you know, we do sizzle reels, which is small little videos that go on social media that's been turning the world upside down and just giving people a whole new, different experience in regards to, you know, just your marketing dollars. So give us a call or give us a look at AskIlya.com. And so we got the Harriet Tubman.
Tell them how to spell Ilya.
ILLYA.
Okay.
But if you just type in ask, I'm search engine, baby. We're all on the front page. We right there. You know what I'm saying? 52 billion people in the last 6 seconds they just did one thing with Google, and they ask, ASK, how to. They did some ask was there. So trust me, my homework has been done. My years of Google was fun. So,
okay.
Let's go.
This guy he done turned into a rapper.
So music events, right? You got something coming up? But no, shouts out to you, boy. First, before we go, social change social.
Oh my gosh, change. Yes, we wanna send a huge shout out to
DJ Quest.
Oh my God,
and Owen at the Miracle Theater. It's interesting because this has become film festival season, right?
Right.
And when film festival season, there's a lot of films that come out of the area and want to talk or have viewing based on certain social issues. And I think it was a Social Change Fest.
It's a festival.
So all their films, and it's a slew of different films, but they're all relative to the social issues that's going on in our community, from LGBT to police brutality to poverty, homelessness, even your voice and your opinions on, you know, Mr. Trump. So the things that we really want to see and talk about will be here. It was November the 3rd. And shouts out to DJ Quest, giving us an opportunity to just kind of give some exposure for them.
Absolutely. I'm going to be in the building. That's my daughter's birthday, but I'm going to be in the building.
Yeah. So at Miracle Theater, Owen, they're doing a phenomenal job over there in Inglewood off of Market Street. Are. Just keeping activities local where we don't have to go to Hollywood or Santa Monica because you got to deal with parking and, you know, nice bar, you know, just a great facility. So, We got a couple more minutes. You know something about sports? Did you watch anything?
I watched the Laker games.
Okay, that's what I said. Did you watch any sports?
That's the Laker games. That's sports.
That's people that watch a Laker game or go to a Laker game.
You know what? See, this is. Let me tell you something.
And they're Laker fans.
I've been to a Laker game.
They on the phone
several times.
They on the phone. If you're a Laker fan and you watching a Laker game, if you at the game, you're on the phone.
No, I'm not.
Unless you're Fredo, you're on the phone.
I'm on the phone doing what?
Unless
I'm watching the game.
You know, that's come on. We all know LA folks are snooty, so you know that.
I just got called snooty.
That's LA.
I watch sports when I watch sports. Okay?
Give me other than LeBron James.
No, hold on.
Other than LeBron James.
All right.
Other than AD, give me one other player on the team.
On the Lakers?
On the Lakers. It's about 13. So I took 2 away.
Okay, so LeBron James.
Other than LeBron, other than AD, who's another player on the team?
Come on, really?
Okay, if you get one, you might get to 2.
Oh my God. Okay, so production. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me think. All these new boys. Wait, all these new boys. I look at basketball from a women's.
Okay, stop. Okay, you ain't gonna get no answer right. So we gonna move along. This game has got to be kind of quicker than that. All right.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Let's go to football. There's 2 teams here. 2 teams here. 2 teams. You got the Rams and you got the Chargers.
Okay.
Just tell me the quarterback for either team. Either team.
I don't like either of those teams.
Okay. We're going to get to hockey.
Do you want me to tell you a quarterback? I can tell you. I look at sports not for the same reasons as you. I don't care what their name is. I just want to know what's the name of the person.
Argumentative when you don't know what you're talking about.
Dwayne, not Dwayne. That's not his name. What's his name? Dwight Howard. Boom. How? Dwight Howard. Ha! I'm late, but I came in, though. Dwight Howard.
Then we go to commercial before she even get this right. Okay, check this out. All right, we're going to move on because you from L.A.
Oh, whatever.
We want to represent L.A. in this quirky segment.
I know their name if they cute. If I think
with the quirky segment, you got baseball. Okay, you have 2 teams. You have the Angels and you have the Dodgers.
Right.
What's the mascot for either team?
The Dodgers is what is it?
All right.
Yeah, wait.
This game got to move on. So, okay, all right. Now we got hockey in Los Angeles.
We're not doing this.
This is another team that has 2 sports. Another sport that has 2 teams.
The Kings.
You have the Kings and you have the Ducks, right?
Okay.
Who won
I don't know nobody.
The last trophy?
The Kings.
Wow! She got it right, y'all. She gets a lollipop.
I just saw at the time, and see, this is where memories come into play. But the only reason why I know that is because the man that I was working for, his restaurant, he was a big, huge Kings fan. And when we did our Christmas gift exchange, somebody got Kings tickets, and they won. That was when they won the last game. So that's why I know that. But I don't look at sports for the same reasons y'all do. Okay. I like sports. It's cool. It's cute.
Are you looking at the points?
I'm looking at the players.
They got helmets on and hats.
Okay, so let me ask you a question from my doo-doo. So what team in all of NBA history has the ugliest players ever?
Wow.
You don't know. You don't know. We looking at 2 different things.
We looking at shoes and arm length. We ain't looking at face and teeth and all that. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm looking at something different.
Don't count. We just looking at wins
I know
and
sometimes
losses.
I know when the game is good, that's when I tap in. I'm like, wait a minute, is that an interception? You know, I know little stuff.
You gotta be kidding
But
me.
I'm looking. Okay, let me tell you basketball, I'm looking at the players. You don't see much. But in football, I'm looking at the pants. Them pants is sent by God. Do you understand me? Them pants, the pads, it make you look like something you're not. If you put on a football, what? Put on a football, you go home to the wife and put on some football pads. Watch she don't get a touchdown, okay? Tell somebody. I'm looking at these sports for different reasons. I want to see how fast you can run in baseball.
Hey, Ferran, we really miss you a lot, and we understand that this is not the highlights y'all was looking for today on sports, even though I can go through them all, because I did watch First Take with Stephen A., so I kind of know what happened all day.
He's stealing.
But we're going to take a quick break. Welcome again here live Mondays, Morris Media Studios with Milan. Ask Ilya if you guys need some to know about these events or get some money in your pocket. You know, we can get you some exposure to
dollars.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
Coming to you live November 16th from the West Angeles Performing Arts Theater, it's Hope Arise, the musical, starring Rosemary Smith Coleman, Lamont A. Coleman of Tyler Perry's The Haves and the Have-Nots. A compelling story about Dee, a gritty 10-year-old from the Chicago South Side neighborhood who fights to evade a life of abuse, poverty, and despair by commandeering freedom and love from a family she seizes as her own. You don't want to miss Hope Arise. Get your tickets now at Eventbrite.com or give us a call at 323-733-8706.
Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rep.
Yeah, so my name is King Q. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I'm an empowerment speaker. I'm a youth advocate, and I'm a host. I do a multitude of different things. Event producer, spoken word artist. Got to plug that as well. So
so it's good to have these organizations that are creating events that are organically to be able to get people to socialize, to communicate, to talk. Where did you get all that mental toughness?
For me, it's been learned throughout trial and error, to be honest. About 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, I made a decision, and I said I don't want to do anything that's not in alignment with my purpose. In order to reach purpose, you have to go through trial. So for me, I just learned to embrace the trial, and for me, my trial, my rock bottom was homelessness. So that gave me a whole nother level of mental toughness.
Voice out west, legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked,
AskIlya.com. Media marketing experts here to help you grow your business into the next level and boost your sales. Visit us to learn more. AskIlya.com.
The Consortium of Health and Military Performance, also known as CHAMP, of the Uniformed Services University of Health and Science, known as USUHS, is conducting a study to understand a possible genetic link between sickle cell trait, known as SCT, and exercise-related events, known as EREs, such as exertional rhabdomyolysis, muscle damage, heat stroke, and or collapse. We are inviting African American men and women with sickle cell trait and their family members to participate. Participating in the study will require you to complete a health history questionnaire, a form authorizing our study physician to gather health information from you and your healthcare provider, as well as a one-time blood donation. In order to qualify for the study, you must meet the following criteria: be African American, be sickle cell trait positive, be able to read, speak, and understand English, be between the ages of 18 and 80, and currently not being
We are back. You're watching Sports Collective TV. Don't forget, you guys, if you guys want to call in, you got something you want to say, 323-293-3333-3333-75. Just kidding. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great.
Good. Look.
We have been enjoying
beautiful
your
women.
show.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
So I gotta ask a question, right? Because this young lady to the left of me or to the right of me, where I'm looking here, left,
to your right of me,
because we left-handed, so we know everybody. Nobody's never made it easy for us.
Life is rough.
No, and you go back to when you had to find the seat that was on the right side. You had to slide in. Yeah, the book. Why they put the book this way? You know,
right?
Come on, why can't bind it a different way? You know.
So do you prefer your tissue to go over or under?
Oh wow, that's kind of a lot of personal stuff.
I'm just saying, it's toilet tissue. I'm not asking you which way do you wipe, front to back, or no.
We don't remember what our preference is, so we always have to adapt to everybody else.
Yes. Who you are, because she's from my hometown.
That's right. I was agreeing what you said about the LA people being snooty.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what?
They're not. You know what it is? I'm gonna tell you.
Half my family's from here, so
half my family from Mississippi. So we balance.
I'm a Mississippi person.
We balance.
I got some Louisiana in me, and some Memphis.
Well, I represent Ghana, so
hey.
All right. So that's interesting you say that, because first of all, introduce yourself.
I am Carol Magruder, and I am the co-chair of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council, a mouthful. I'm from the Bay Area, but I grew up here till I was 11, and my father still lives in Inglewood, so I've been back and forth my whole life.
Okay, yes. So you're kind of like me, just been floating around, but you're still in Cali.
Yes.
And Madam?
My name is Nicole Turkson. We were here before. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator with the Keeping Our Lungs Safe program of the African Coalition.
All right.
So, I really got to ask this question before we go into your initiatives and why you're really here today. But, when we had the opportunity to do this panel night out for Harriet Tubman, one of the guys, he's not from California. He was like, when I lived back east, they did this for Black Panther, right? And you're from the land.
The land.
And I'm still trying to figure out, and maybe you can help me, why is this movie so great? I'm just never got to that point of what am I really looking at that makes this, where everybody's aspiration to this movie is. I just never grasped it. And I don't really, you don't tell people that, but that is really the truth. So I'm trying to look at, like, now you got a Harriet Tubman. Why does that movie get the same feel and aspect of a movie that is kind of animated versus this is a real story? So you've been around a little longer than us.
I don't have any idea, because I'm not sure. Have you actually seen the movie yet?
No, and okay. I'm just thinking on just insight of just two types of films. That's really all relative to Black people that have two different sentiments.
Right. I get a false skew of this because my father has been obsessed with Harriet Tubman. He read the book 3 times, the one who's 90 years old and lives in Inglewood. So I'm hearing Harriet Tubman. So I personalize that and think everybody is as excited and is waiting for this movie as much as I am. And then the whole issue with the $20 bill and our number 45 not doing anything about it. So I thought that there was general, high anticipation around the release of the movie. So I don't know.
But how do you compare that? And I'm going to ask you, how do you compare that to, like, just the thoughts of it to, Black Panther?
I think Black Panther, as someone who loves, like, superhero action films,
Marvel.
It was just really nice to finally see a Black superhero and, like, a really well done, like, I thought the Black Panther.
So you're putting that, like, on Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman,
right?
Marvel,
like, all the Marvel superheroes are white. You know, I mean, has there been a Green Lantern movie? I don't know. A Green Lantern is Black, right? Nobody knows. No, he's not. Okay, Green Lantern isn't even. So finally, we get a superhero who's actually Black, and not only that, he's from, like, the most technologically advanced country in the world, and it's in Africa, and it's
And it was very sexy.
And it was, it was
like very sexy.
Colors.
So slavery is not sexy.
No, it's not.
Slavery is not sexy.
But, right.
Boys was doing
You was observing the men there too.
Honey, they was playing sports too. So to be a little more transparent with how I felt about it, I think to answer your question, if I was answering your question, I would say that it is equally impactful to people who relate to the Black job or the Black success or the Black action or the Black, whatever your why is. It spoke to that for a lot of people. It spoke to me as a Black mother, as a Black single mother. It spoke to me as a filmmaker. It spoke to me as progressive We're being progressive. It showed how many black people can come together truly and support something. And we did that. And we did that in such great numbers that we've shown ourselves better than we can tell, that I can tell you that when we come together, there is nothing less than that. We are the highest, the most in demand, the most hated, the most loved, the most sought after people on the planet. So
Tito, give me some tissue, because my goodness, we went into poetry at its best.
I'm just saying, it spoke to so many different people. The person who needed the job, the person whose first movie it was that worked on it, the person who's a part of the first all black cast film.
Mm-hmm. And it was about black excellence.
And it was about black excellence. And all, I mean, the cast, the dedication to the characters, there was no shortage of talent. There was no shortage of I am the queen. There is no shortage of I just lost my son. Like those emotions were just true, and they picked the most impactful people to play these people.
Yeah, they really did a good job casting.
So that's what I do. I create people's personalities to create conversation. That's why I'm a Capricorn left-handed and I'm in my right mind.
Okay. So that's what you call a hookup. That's a hookup.
But we're gonna tie why I'm here today with Harriet Tubman.
Yeah,
I'm going to make that connection for you.
Okay, I appreciate that, because I know it's really a piece dealing with sports that kids just don't have history. You know what I'm saying? We live so in the now, and then what's happening tomorrow or what's happening this weekend. We don't live into no past. You could talk to kids just about sports, and they only could go. They can't, like you go. Magic Johnson used to play. Like, yeah, he used to actually play. You know, so right. Some of the commentators they're listening to was players. Right. You know, they don't know nothing about. They just know them as Stephen A. played in college. You know what I'm saying? People they just don't know. So I think when it comes to subjects like this, I mean, all the kids, especially they have AR programs for the kids so that they can have reading at the LAUSD, and that means they get to go pick out a book to their reading level and then figure out, to read the book and then do what they call reading comprehension. Reading comprehension, and then they take a test on what they read, right? The biggest thing in black culture is reading comprehension. It is. We can read something, but we don't really know what we really read because we don't understand the vocabulary with definition of the words that they mean and where their context at. So all that plays a part of stuff like this. These people didn't even know how to read, but they had this intuition for better. I mean, if you go with the Black Panther or if you go with this movie here, it's all about the betterment. And I think we in a society, as we talk about the ills of just smoking, where the moral compass is off, younger kids are doing things that in our day and age was unheard of. I told a kid, I said, the difference between me and you is that you get up in the morning and you look like that. When I got up in the morning, my clothes was handed to me, ironed. We had to be representable. It just had to be a certain way. Right. And now you're looking at kids are not really, having any structure and the moral compass is off. Comes these issues that you're talking about. Right. The vaping, the smoking. And this is your forum, so tell us more.
So our council, AATCLC, and the website, I'm going to say a couple of websites, but the first one is savingblacklives.org. Okay. We're formed to save the 45,000 black people who die every year in the United States of America from smoking. Those are the people who die directly from smoking. People also die from
that's not an ethnicity or nothing. That's just people.
Black people.
That's black people. Specific. Y'all
45,000 black people.
All right, so we'll look in the camera and tell them
Which
that
camera
again.
am I looking at?
Which one?
The middle camera.
Center. 45,000 black people die every year in the United States of America from smoking. Those are the people who are the direct smokers. We also lose people from secondhand smoke. Yes. We also lose people, some of our women who die from breast cancer, they're actually dying from their husbands, breathing their husband's secondhand smoke. And I have women in my family who have passed this way. So we are formed for that. But tobacco in our neighborhoods, it's a political issue. It's more than a health issue.
Okay, so we're going to stop right there because we know it's a political issue because I go back to being the kid that could go with a note to the store, for when a pack of cigarettes was 25 cents. And
Right.
you put the quarter in the machine and you pull it out, but you had to give the liquor store the note that was signed by your mom to pick up some Coors Filter King cigarettes.
Okay, I'm not from that age.
I came from that age to see where we at, and I'm trying to figure out of that 45,000 African American people, what is the case study of that? I mean, what is, because that I'm giving you my scenario of my mom being a cigarette smoker.
Right, and that's a common scenario, what you said. So we did, and in those days we grew up, I'm probably a little older than you, but your parents sent you whatever they were getting. A child went to the store to get it, and that's very much in the African tradition that you send your children to do whatever you need.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened we were sending them to buy these products that kill us. But the norms around smoking in our community, we're specifically working on the Newports and other things as well, but Newports in particular were products that were brought into our community and given to children in their hand, like we're up in arms now about the vaping epidemic. Mm-hmm. The vaping epidemic, children were seduced through social media, through influencers. You talked about influencers, to go and try to buy it. Right. But with black people, they actually came in and gave them to children. So some of those children was a woman named Marie Evans in Boston.
What year is that?
This was in the 60s and the 70s.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you a very famous person who's the last one that we know why he's a smoker. But Marie Evans was given cigarettes in Boston. She used to trade them for candy. She was 9 when they started giving them to her. She began smoking at 13 because that's what you do when you grow up in the hood. Right. And she was dead at 54. So her son successfully sued Newports and actually received $79 million in compensation.
Wow.
So when you multiply the 45,000 black people who die, 80% of them are Newport smokers. They're, that because that's what was given to us to do.
And that's an interesting story because that's the product that you see.
That's the product.
At every domino
party. The youngest person is Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle, I saw him on an interview, and he was given cigarettes in D.C. in the Metro station subway when he was 14 years old.
Wow.
And he said he went home, and David Chappelle is from a highly educated family. His parents are college professors, so this is no discriminator of class, even though smoking tends to be associated with people who have less of an education. Mm-hmm. He said he went home and he decided he would learn to smoke, quote unquote, and he didn't know he would be so good at it as he is with comedy. So I watched Dave Chappelle. You cannot see him without bumming a cigarette, bringing a cigarette, and his pack is green. So I'm assuming it was initially Newports.
Mm-hmm. So. And I don't want to leave you out. You feel free to jump in anytime.
But
let me ask you this. I always think that every problem there is a solution. Mm-hmm. And you guys are now on the solution-driven side. Right. So shouts out to African coalition communities in coming up with these communities' decisions. So where do we lie in regards to kind of putting some kind of forefront on that?
So 10 years ago, when we had a wonderful president, Barack Obama, he actually signed legislation, the Tobacco Control Act, that gave the FDA the authority to regulate cigarettes. At that time, they took all the flavors out except for which one?
Menthol.
Except for menthol.
Which is Newport.
Which is Newports. And so other people smoke menthol, but 80%, 90% of black smokers smoke Newports. They also left out of the FDA authority little cigars, blunts, Black and Milds, all of the things that poor black and brown people smoke. That was left free and easy. And so in the flavors in that. So at the time, tobacco control advocates, which there are very few African American ones, but we've been doing this a long time, we were just up in arms. So it's been positioned now that we're trying to do something to the black smoker to take their menthol away, when in fact the menthol was left in the first place. So we were not protected by the public health policy that everyone else was protected by back when this happened 10 years ago. Right. And it's the same as if we had a seatbelt law and we agree that seatbelts are good for everybody, but we said, black people really don't like seatbelts. So if you want to wear a seatbelt, you wear it. And if you don't, that's your right to choose that you don't want to wear a seatbelt. So what our mission is that public health policy that benefits other people can benefit us. Mm-hmm. So we want these products off the market as all the other flavors were. Now, the whole vaping thing cropped up in the last, 5 years. It's really taken hold.
Right.
And that's a whole other issue.
Before we even get to the vaping piece, there's tobacco, then there's alcohol. Mm-hmm. So the standards don't equally stand out on each product. So alcohol is a whole nother ball of wax. Right. Because it's all about consumption. Mm-hmm. But here people are actually dying from a different cause, and it's specifically designed for a particular group. So what do we do as a community voice?
As a community, we want to wake up, and so I'm working on the supply. But as we know, the war on drugs, you have to work on the demand. So people really need to get mad about it. And I have many people in my family who are smokers. I have lost many people to smoking. And we're talking about here.
And I'm on the other side of the fence because my mother was a smoker. I was just totally against it.
The few, right? That's the few. But because it gets into your brain when you're smelling it, and if your mother's smoking when you're in utero, so it primes you actually to be addicted. So the minority are the people like you who just can't stand it.
Right.
Thank God. But the majority of people, if you grow up with smokers, you're going to be a smoker. But I want to bring back to Harriet Tubman that we were brought here to cultivate tobacco. Cotton came later, but initially that was our entree in the slave trade. So when we see Harriet Tubman, we need to look at it from that lens, and that ever since then, this plant has been killing us in one way or another.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
I mean, you boots on the ground here locally.
Yeah, locally. To supplement what Carol was saying with the flavors, Keeping Our Lungs Safe has been part of the local initiatives that's been going on to, our role has been to educate our decision makers about, the impact of flavored tobacco, specifically menthol, in the African American community, and to get that flavor, to educate them to the point where they finally get that flavor.
Isn't that kind of more of a mixed bag because there's different entities in control of those different products, and they're gathering them from so many different places, versus where we're talking a cigarette agency, a particular company, where you basically have an influence on them directly. It just seems like they just had an initiative here this last week where you could come take your vapes and your cartridges and drop them off, and I get that. It's the same thing they do with gun control. Like, you can bring your old gun, yada, 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 yada. But it seems like your challenge is a little bigger because you're dealing with a just much more diverse group of people.
Right. So we actually were at the LA County Board of Supervisors office a few weeks ago where they were having a meeting to discuss an ordinance that would ban all flavored tobacco products and vaping products, including menthol, in certain areas of Los Angeles. And they actually ended up passing that ban, which was awesome. And now the attention is being turned to the city of Los Angeles, and we're going to keep on doing our due diligence with educating those decision makers as well, so that hopefully they will follow the lead of the supervisors and also pass ordinance that will ban flavored tobacco in these areas.
And when we say ban, we're banning the sale. So it's not you have the right to do whatever you want to do as an adult. We're not banning. So when we talk about prohibition back when alcohol was prohibited,
so banning the sale, it has a lot to do with the distribution.
It has to do with the distribution.
So
it has to do and so it's not
the distribution
illegal to use the product.
Limited in certain communities. Is that kind of maybe a direction?
Right.
Okay.
Or stopped totally.
Right. Well, so this is great stuff. So what we're going to do is take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. So Fredo, throw some of them. We got y'all up. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make it happen. We're going to make something happen and make an impact for the area lady that's next to me.
Hey.
So we're going to come right back. We're going to take a quick little break. Shouts out again to African Coalition Communities and giving us an opportunity to be here on this podcast talking about initiatives that are very important to our own community. So we'll be right back. Sports Collective Media on Morris Media Live, 5 o'clock.
AskIlya.com. Media marketing experts here to help you grow your business into the next level and boost your sales. Visit us to learn more. AskIlya.com.
Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rep.
Yeah, so my name is King Q. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I'm an empowerment speaker. I'm a youth advocate, and I'm a host. I do a multitude of different things. Event producer, spoken word artist. Got to plug that as well. So
so it's good to have these organizations that are creating events that are organically to be able to get people to socialize, to communicate, to talk. Where do you get all that mental toughness?
For me, it's been learned throughout trial and error, to be honest. About 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, I made a decision, And I said, I don't want to do anything that's not in alignment with my purpose. In order to reach purpose, you have to go through trial. So for me, I just learned to embrace the trial. And for me, my trial, my rock bottom was homelessness. You know, so that gave me a whole nother level of mental toughness.
Voice out west, legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked.
Coming to you live November 16th from the West Angeles Performing Arts Theater, it's Hope Arise, the musical, starring Rosemary Smith Coleman, Lamont A. Coleman of Tyler Perry's The Haves and the Have-Nots. A compelling story about Dee, a gritty 10-year-old from the Chicago South Side neighborhood who fights to evade a life of abuse, poverty, and despair by commandeering freedom and love from a family she seizes as her own. You don't want to miss Hope Arise. Get your tickets now at eventbrite.com or give us a call at 323-733-8707. Very interesting backstage conversation on the back end. It's always the funnest when you guys aren't watching. You're tuned in to Sports Collective TV.
So we got a text question.
Text question.
It says, ask her, how do they plan to counteract the organizations that promote smoke 'em if they got them as a reward or opportunity?
I don't know who Smoke 'em is.
I don't know who Smoke 'em is, but thank you for your question.
Yes. I don't know. That might be a local thing that I'm not aware of.
Is that like a brand?
Is maybe
vape or a cigarette?
You know, sometimes people be smoking the other products and they sending us questions that.
So, but I wanted to get back to your question about, because vaping, they're the mom and pop vape stores. They're Juul, which is out of San Francisco, right. Disruptor. So it is difficult. In Japan, the e-cigarettes were illegal from the get, so they don't, and it's an island as well. So the FDA really just fell down on their job to let this thing get so bad and proliferate the way that it has, because now it's really hard to dial it back, and there's so many local small stores that are vaping, and so. But nicotine is a poison. And that if you get it on your skin, it can actually make you very ill. So that we have these stores where people are mixing this stuff up for people who aren't pharmacists, and that we've just allowed that to happen. And that is not in the interest of the public at all. And so we have to dial it back. So it's not going to be easy, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it, because it's...
But you got these little rapper kids, and, they just got no training. Ain't nobody telling them nothing. I mean, that's going to be like a whole little generation of kids that seem like they take over with this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think they're not being shown the right things. I think
so. That's why I want to get at the heart of solutions. How do we tap? What do you guys expect? Or
we're working on the distribution. So we want to get these products off the market.
But we know beyond the cigarette, because cigarette is actually right?
Most kids have a lot of people.
But we know it smells.
Right,
you do that. Right. I mean, it still has a negative stigma.
That's true, right?
Whereas this has more of a popularity based on flavor and look and apparatuses you can buy and things like that. And then it's fashionable and trendy.
Right.
And then we're looking at a social media world. I mean, what do we? How do you revamp these youth? And I'm trying to get an understanding of what you think.
Well, so what we're doing is we're really trying to intervene with our kids kids and educate them. That's really what the center of Coles is all about, is education and advocacy. So, for example, we have a group of high school students over at Carson High School, and they're having an event on their quad during lunchtime this Friday.
Nice.
And, we've been engaging with these kids for some weeks now and giving them information and education background.
There we go.
Especially how the tobacco industry has targeted communities of color, especially the black community.
Have you guys thought about just getting a forum of kids and kind of getting their insight, like a storytelling day where they're just kind of giving their insight, their version of it? I mean, it's almost like when you go to church, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to church, the older persons, you got to wait till they die off before you get a shot. You don't really get a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
It's time now to start allowing our youth to be able to be better communicators and understanding what's attractive to them. What is making this attractive to you?
Right. So let me add this in, since I'm the Grandma Moses of tobacco control. We passed, I've been doing this a long time, so we finally got a tax pass, which was Proposition 56, and that was a couple of years ago. That put a $2 tax on cigarettes and vaping.
That's why they're so expensive.
Yes.
Thank
you
God.
can pat me on the back.
So you thought that if you tax it higher,
it works. That poor people.
So let me.
But that's
interesting.
not my point, though. My point is that money is generating resources
let's not jump
for our
the fence.
community.
Let's not jump the
part
fence.
of those resources are Nicole and Lee.
I get that.
Okay.
But do we have numbers that was reflective of a higher number to pay for cigarettes that you were going to get less buyers?
We certainly do.
Okay, that's all right.
It's statistical. For every certain amount that you raise it, 10% of poor smokers will stop. And so there's an African American supervisor in San Francisco, Shaman Walton.
You see where I'm going, though, right?
But hold on,
that's a good stat.
It's a very good stat. So when we just did a podcast with him, because he's the one who did the vaping, the e-cigarette, taking it off the market in San Francisco, and Jewel put a referendum on the ballot that will be voted on Tuesday. So I'm in Bayview, Hunters Point, the hood, similar to here.
That's what Tupac was from,
This lady wheels herself over to me, begging for money, shaking her cup as I'm trying to get in my car. And I don't give money on the street. I do many things for homeless people, but I don't give them money. So when I looked at her, and I told her, God bless you, my typical thing, and she was aggressive. And I said, when I looked at her, I could see she really wasn't that old, even though she was disabled.
You sizing her up.
I sized her up, but she came right up on me. And I said, did you have a stroke? And she said, yes. And when her, your speech is off. And I looked at her and I said, were you a smoker? So then she got mad at me.
Because that smoker could have been all kinds of smoking.
Right. But she knew I meant smoking a cigarette.
Okay.
And so she said, I can't afford it anymore. And I said, well, that's good. So then she really got mad, and she told me, when did God die and leave you in charge? Which I agree, because I'm bossy. I'm always getting in people's business because I love my people. But
you've seen the actual cause and effect of the program.
Right.
Yeah.
But I want our people to be healthy. Yes. And I believe that we can be healthy, that we're not just going to give up and accept this, because we know that black people can stop smoking just like anybody else can. We need resources, and we need to feel that we can. We need to have ownership over our lives. So our other project is amplify.love. And that's the side where we're really working on amplifying the love, amplifying our power.
So I guess I would have to ask, when you say our people, would cigarette smoking be considered generational for us? Would it be considered like category driven? Like, I look at my family came from painters. And so the painters were smokers. They smoke and they drink alcohol. Or mechanics. It has a stigma based on certain categories of people working atmosphere. So are we doing the deep dives?
The category is that we were preyed upon by this industry when we have so many other issues to deal on. So they literally went into our neighborhoods, as I said, gave these products to us. So as part of litigation, their own internal documents have been released, millions of them, where they lay out their plan, and they're listed, and there's a paper called Racialized Geography and how they targeted us. And there's also a documentary called Black Lives, Black Lungs. It's on YouTube. You can see it. It's only 15 minutes.
Say that again.
Black Lives, Black Lungs. And you can see it on YouTube. And he actually has the vans in there where they would come and give out these free cigarettes in our communities with music. So opioids, addiction is about brain chemistry and access to people.
Because I noticed y'all got some you got some big words here. Let me see. Forma something and lead something another and dollar something another.
I'm glad you ain't my doctor. Lord have mercy.
You just know when you can't say the word, it ain't good for you. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much. You know what I mean?
So those are just some examples of the
is that
chemicals.
Is it a chemical that's put in? How is that formulated as the product?
Formaldehyde, lead, diacetyl, those are examples of some of the chemicals that have been found in vapes. So there are 10 chemicals that are found in vapes that are known to cause cancer and reproductive harm.
Okay, so before you go on, when you say vapes, because a lot of people have asked me this question, when you say vapes, do you mean the device or the fluid that you're ingesting?
I think and I'm going to interject, and maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding is that once the burning sensation of whatever it is creates the toxin that goes into your body. So if it's the apparatus or whatever you're vaping, once it touches fire, then that's the chemical that's going in your body. And I think Lee said that last time. And then there's another chemical that's coming out of your body for people that's...
And it can be both.
I don't know, is that true?
It can be both.
So, I mean, so is it it's both,
it can be both, right? So because you're having a chemical reaction, you're having a heat reaction. So,
and vapes, they still need to do a lot more research on these things to see, what the long term effects are.
That's why you just don't go buy a Kia. You can't. You gotta wait. You can't just go buy a Kia.
Okay, look. Let me tell you something. Okay,
I always got jokes.
Let me tell you something. He always got jokes, but I don't care. I like the new Kia.
Okay, they ain't paying for none of this. It is so cute. It was a joke.
I think it's cute. I'm not gonna say what kind of car it is. I'm just going to say it's a nice car, okay?
You have to go back and say don't buy a Pinto.
Well, there you go. Don't say don't buy a Kia. They come up too, just like everybody else.
Don't sit in the back of a Pinto. That was the thing.
Pintos were cars that would blow up.
They would blow up, or you get hit in the back. It's a done deal.
Don't sit in the back seat and don't fall asleep. Stay woke. That's the moral of the story right there.
Ain't no more Pintos, right?
Another thing, since we're here with the African Coalition, is that melanin, which is what gives us our color. Some people have more than others. But melanin attracts and holds nicotine in your body. So, and the tobacco industry knew that. So the more melanin you have, the more the nicotine will be. So we always knew that black people metabolize nicotine slower, that we smoke less, and it's harder for us to quit. And that the byproduct of nicotine that passes through you, it has a longer shelf life for
I mean, it's a lot of things out here by design, and I'm going to take you offline a little bit in regards to what is your perception with the water that's going on in Detroit? Is that by design?
Well, I went to Flint, Michigan, because Flint passed the Tobacco 21 law that I helped to go back there and talk about. And Flint is... it's a wonderful little city. It's the way that it's kind of portrayed as, the poorest city in the world. So I don't know if it was by design, but I know people didn't care. So we did have some criminal prosecutions for that from people in the health department because they knew. And to get back on my subject, we haven't yet to have a criminal prosecution with big tobacco when they purposefully put these products in our community. They redesign them to be more addictive for us. Some of the chemicals that you talked about that are in combustible cigarettes, it freebases the nicotine. So for those people who were around before crack came, people had to do that chemical reaction for themselves, and that's how Richard Pryor caught himself on fire.
Wow.
So the nicotine is freebase. So when I talk to old people, they would say cigarettes didn't used to be so bad. They didn't. But they have engineered them so they're just hyper addictive, and there are just so many things that are in them that are killing us. So we need to really understand what's at stake. So when we lose our babies, when we lose Oscar Grant, that was our New Year's present in the Bay Area, in the world, when we lose a Trayvon, that it breaks your heart, because I'm a mother. But for every one of those boys, there are 6 or 8 people like me who die at home. And I'm the one who makes my family work. I'm the one, and people in my age, we make your grandmother. She's the one who made it happen for other people. So when you lose the head of your family and you lose them to this slow death, that the intergenerational harm that tobacco has it's irreversible. So these companies, when we talk about reparations, they owe us something. So Reynolds American, RAI, you'll hear it. If you don't know what it means, that's Newport's. They'll come and they'll buy an ad. They'll give you some sponsorship. That's like taking money from a crack dealer, from the KKK, because they're killing so many people to give you deal with sponsorship. So I'm going to give you $100 to have access to your children, to addict them to become my lifelong customers. So this is
with already knowing cause and effect.
Right.
I think I heard "damn" in the back. Like, she's like, what?
So this is, and our council, Philip Gardner, my other co-chair, he's a former Black Panther. We're not. People think we're, namby-pamby do-gooders. I've been called a do-gooder. And I'm like, I have family incarcerated. I have family that have died from tobacco. I know, on 3rd Street, people sell steaks out of the trunk in the back of the jazz club. I know about that. I still go there. But that doesn't mean that we can't enact public health policy. And when you said have a conversation.
Yeah.
Smokers, I love Black smokers.
It's interesting when you say have a conversation, because if you're having a conversation about a DUI and you want to go to a DUI program or any other drug program,
right,
it starts out with a conversation. Mm-hmm. Here, cigarettes is, some magic wand or stick a patch on your arm, but there's really no conversation because it's generational. You have to figure out how do you stop the bleeding by at least talking to the people that's interested in this.
Exactly.
And then how do you deter them? You may not go to deter everyone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's just not how life is. I mean, it was funny because just 2 days ago, I'm like, all this noise about the vaping and people dying in comas and things like that. Right. And, it's almost like if you just heard 10 people didn't wear their seatbelt because they drove a particular car, and it's the same car you drive, you think you're going to not wear your seatbelt? Right. So I'm sitting next to a car, this guy's vaping the whole parking lot. I'm like, all I can think of is he's killing himself. Like, don't you know that this... I mean, they got this big cloud of smoke. You thought the fires was going on. And you got this big vapor smoke.
Right.
And it's like, maybe he's not knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he don't know that there's something going on. I don't know.
I feel like
to send it to us.
It's going to be a challenge.
I feel like there is a mass array of things going on in our communities that target us specifically. I mean, I just had this conversation this morning, about, like you said, the fires. Like, that kind of stuff don't happen on accident that much in your own house. Think about it. How many times in your house do you have fire in your house that you didn't do on purpose? And what is the percentage of the ones that happen when you forgot to do the match, like, ooh, and you drop it, or you set the towel on the stove? Those kinds of accidents.
Well, we kind of know the fire thing in California has been very politically driven.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. It's the fires. It's the history. It's the earth covering up other things on the earth that reveal things when somebody decides to dig it up. It seems under this mountain. And then
but
all of a sudden, you got a whole plantation of black people that were dumped in a hole or something.
What's changed is that we have podcasts, we have internet, we have the ability to have someone that's specialized and has expertise and experience to be able to come and give us information. We come from the era of going to the library or reading it in an encyclopedia. Mm-hmm. Or if you didn't go to it, if you didn't go to Detroit, you didn't know nothing about Detroit. There wasn't no internet. So now there's no reason for anyone to be dumb anymore because you got this whole, YouTube and what you just tell me. You just told someone today, you said, I went to YouTube University to learn how to do something. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to my boy Scott.
Exactly.
Hey there.
That's the difference. And the fact that it's a global piece now to be able to communicate.
Right.
So me used to send the Hallmark in the mail with a stamp and wait till you get it and then leave you a voicemail. None of that's now. It's like I can send you a picture in 2 seconds. Right. Bam. There you go.
And this broadcast can go all over the world.
Right.
Sidebar, gentlemen. Sidebar. Women too. Okay. Stop sending nice heart emojis and stuff on Valentine's Day. That is not a substitute for a gift. Don't send me another rose bouquet on text. I'm gonna be upset. Okay.
All right.
Edible arrangements.
I guess it's when we leave. So.
Lord have mercy. Stop it.
She worried about Valentine's Day.
It was a sidebar. He said something about emojis, and I was like,
we still love you. We still love you. So, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much. My brother from Northern California.
Yes, ma'am. And gorgeous from Ghana.
I'm going home with you when you go. I got to see a whole bunch of these. I would love to see a bunch of these running around.
Well, you got the hairdo to work with it. So, with that being said, we out of here. Ron, we love you, boy. See you next week.
Next week.
You know what I'm saying? To be continued.
All right.
College final scores, play by play. NFL, NBA, NHL, that's right, you name it. They gon' bring it to you live. Talking sports and entertainment from the